The banter. Okay, I'm recording.
Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is podcast number 3 of Dudes to Dads. Can you believe we're actually on our 3rd podcast?
All the way to number 3.
All the way to number 3. Oh, we'll say, remember when we just started?
We made it halfway to 6.
Yeah. I'm your host, Jason Kreidman. I also have Mr. Alan Bush here.
That's right. I am the engineer, producer, and co-host.
So if you guys need any help with your podcast or interested in doing a podcast, Alan, where can they reach you?
I'm more accessible on Twitter at Alan H. Bush. And then you can also write to Dudes to Dads.
I'll tell you what, guys. Not that just because he's producing this one, but the guy does excellent work. Worked with him in the past and highly recommended. So
Yeah.
now that we've got the plugs out of the way,
That's right.
let's start with some stuff here. First of all, let me give you a little bit of menu, a little bit of rundown of what we're going to do today.
Right.
We've got this segment called Stuff to Do. You know, a lot of dads will talk about, I don't know what to do with my kids, and you know, I'm just unsure and I'm bored or whatever. But we're going to talk about an interesting time to do a very typically boring thing.
Okay.
Is that the best way to intro that?
That's perfect. Yeah. I have no idea what you're going to talk about.
Everyone's very excited to hear that one. They're like, what the heck is he talking
That's
about?
very vague.
Yeah. And then we're going to go into the battlefield. Mm-hmm. This is the war zone. This is where we deal with very, very serious issues. Mm-hmm. Well, at least serious that the fact that the kids are just being difficult.
I like how you said it before, adversarial.
Adversarial, yeah, that was a good word. Yeah. And we'll talk about, we're going to actually go into mealtime and talk about that. So it'll be very interesting.
Be adversarial.
Our next segment after that is going to be product recommendations. We call it the Supercharge. Mm-hmm. And it's the sleeping aid that actually can be used both sleeping and non-sleeping, but I'll talk about that.
Okay,
interesting thing.
Great.
So after that, we'll go into our mailbag. Mm-hmm. We actually got an email from our first podcast that we read last time, and this time we got another one.
Okay.
Actually, we had a couple, but same kind of thing. I think people just like to joke with us, or
there could be similar questions. You know, a lot of times people ask the same thing over and over.
But we did get another good question.
Good.
And it wasn't the fact that I emailed all my friends and said, hey, can you give me a question?
Right.
This was a real question. And so we'll go over that and see if I can answer it.
Okay.
I don't know. I like
You'll
being
have an
stumped.
answer. It just might not be
I have
right.
an answer because I think that I have an answer for everything.
Right, exactly.
And then we'll go into the dad's homework. This is a tip to maybe improve the relationship with your children and do something. And this one will involve the whole family. So it's not just for you. This is really for the whole family to do. This is a great exercise.
Sure.
And then we're talking about survival tips. Now, this is how to survive your relationship, how to treat your woman, how to make sure that you're doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
And so we'll go over that.
Yeah,
survival
tip for you.
And of course, probably the most favorite sort of segment, I was about to say episode. Maybe we could dedicate a whole episode to this.
Oh, yeah.
I remember on your old podcast, you had these women on and certainly had a lot of that stuff on there.
we did have a segment and a lot of interaction.
So this one is called Smooth Operator. Mm-hmm. And this is more, it's not just about this. This isn't about survival. This is about how to, woo your woman and the romance of your woman. And, whether that's intimacy that you're seeking or it's just, you want that romance. This is, something that you can do right now.
Sure.
Well, maybe not right now. Kind of depends on where you're listening. But,
exactly.
Or when you're listening to it.
You're on the freeway, don't do this right now.
Yeah, don't do it. No, not good. But once again, if you want to get in touch with us, please email podcast@dudestodads.com, or you can visit us online at www.dudestodads.com.
That's with T-O, not
it is with the
T-O.
T-O. Not Terrell Owens, T.O. Bad joke. So now we're going to move into stuff to do. So a lot of people or dads will say, like, I'm not sure what to do with my kids. You know, maybe especially if they're alone with them, they're kind of trying to figure out, like, what are some activities we could do, whatever.
Sure.
So this is something, it takes a very typical mundane thing of going on a walk, although, you know, sometimes that can be exciting.
Sure.
But do this at night. Okay. And the idea is you get a flashlight, your child gets a flashlight. Now, if your child doesn't walk, you can put them in a little
Sling,
carrier,
holster,
whatever it is.
Do they have kid holsters?
Oh, I'm sure they've got all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
But you go at night and you explore. And so whether that's looking for things or whatever, and even if it's just 15 minutes to 30 minutes or something like that. But they really get this different perspective of, you know, their neighborhood and everything else that they may not go out at night very often. I mean, you know, our kids don't certainly have too many situations that warrant other than like driving in a car.
Yeah, or you get home late from someplace.
Right.
They might see part of it, but they're not going to walk around.
You know, and especially on a weekend night where, you know, if they're starting school, that it's not that big of a deal for them to be up an extra half hour or something like that.
Yeah.
So you go on a walk, you take a flashlight. Like I said, the kid takes a flashlight and you just point out stuff. And I mean, of course, they're just going to love having a flashlight in their hand.
Yeah.
I mean, most kids just
like
really
a little mini
enjoy it.
lightsaber when I was a kid.
Totally. And so then maybe you bring a lightsaber along in case there are, you know, things. And yeah, you may not every neighborhood's perfect.
Right.
You know, and some may not be conducive to this.
Yeah. I used to live when I was a kid, I lived in Watts.
Okay.
Probably not the best area to do that.
Yeah, and that's up to your own discretion, you know.
Sure. But then I lived in Cape Cod, which was an awesome area to do that.
Right. And if you can't, maybe if you've got a backyard, you can just go and explore there. But
Right.
the idea is that a flashlight at night, it's kind of an interesting thing and just to explore. And you know, kids like that.
Or, you know, and just thinking about this, if you're in an area and you're not in quite a safe area, but you have access to a safe area, maybe you drive to that area or drive to like the beach, for example, and take a walk on the beach for that.
Yeah. Just, and, you know, typically I think it's good, you know, when you can do a one-on-one with a child.
Sure.
So if you have multiple children, you just take one.
Okay.
Or, you know, even doing a walk as a family is nice too.
Right.
Just kind of just walking outside and doing that.
Yeah.
If you have a dog, I'd probably recommend, you know, a lot of people go and walk the dog. Probably not bring the dog. It's something where you just want to pay attention to the child only. So you're not trying to, you're not trying to complete a task. Right. You're really just trying to explore.
You gotta handle poop.
You got to deal with the dog. So
yeah.
I mean, that's cool too. But this is something where I think it's flashlights, it's you and the child. And, you know, you're exploring. And even kids who are a little bit older would enjoy something like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know I would have enjoyed it, especially a little bit older because I had access and I was a little less scared of things. So.
Yeah, I grew up near a forest area, and I don't know that I would have walked in there by myself at night. With my parent, I probably would have been okay. But it was a little bit scary, like just going in the forest. So maybe, we would have probably stuck to the streets. That's with stuff to do. So hopefully you guys can enjoy that. Let us know how that goes.
Yeah,
so.
how'd your walk go?
So the next segment's called The Battlefield. And this is where we talk about the war zone.
Yep.
And these are situations in which you may be at war with your child over many different things.
Sure.
What was the term you use? Adversarial?
Adversarial. You used that term earlier. Or in the last episode, I should say.
You're right. I did. So one of the biggest times, I think the last episode we talked about nighttime, getting the kids to sleep.
It was sleeping, yeah.
It was sleeping. This is dinner.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many battles that go on through dinner. Now, getting ready for dinner is one thing.
Yeah.
But, what they're going to eat.
Yeah.
How long they take to eat.
Yeah.
Messiness, whether or not they eat. There's all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
My wife and I are on the same page on this one. Some people might have different things. Is with dinner, and some people will make multiple meals because the kids like different stuff. And that doesn't work in my house. But, where the one kid likes this, another kid likes this, and, it's a short order cook who's like making all the meals. Not going to happen. I'm just not going to do that. Right. But hey, if you're able to do that and you've got the time to do that.
Yeah.
But with dinner, a lot of times the kids will take too long or they'll refuse to eat it. They say, I don't like it.
Okay.
That's not, even that one is just, I don't like it.
I flat out don't like this.
I flat out don't like it. And say, well, you know what? That's what's for dinner. And that's what you're going to have.
Yeah.
And it is really hard as a parent because you want them to just get some nutrients and you just want some, it is. You see these kids and especially when they're little and you're like, oh, I just want them to have some protein. And,
and I want you to be emaciated.
Yeah. The reality is they'll eat.
Okay.
It's a question of when they'll eat and how long they'll wait in order to eat. So one of the techniques that we've used, and it worked most of the time. I will tell you, there's always caveats that nothing works out.
There's
no
perfect solution.
The only thing that works is the kids get older. That's the only thing that works. They become adults and then they realize that. That's the only, foolproof way that this is going to work.
Right.
But one of the things was we were having a dinner, and I don't recall what. I think it was. Maybe it was a.
Well, I was wondering if there's actually any kind of food in particular that kids don't react to very well. Is there vegetables?
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean,
vegetables always seems to be the kind of
you start out early. I mean, that's just starting out. Some kids have palates. I mean, I'm sure there's arguments and doctors and everything that could say whether they they have this palate and how you teach them and food and all this stuff.
Right.
There's Jerry Seinfeld's wife had the Delectably Delicious or something like that, where you hide vegetables in different foods and that kind of stuff. So, and some of that stuff's cool. It works. But one of the things we did was we just starved them. And I mean, it sounds horrible.
Right. Well,
now that I'm talking out loud and I don't want any authorities coming to my house.
Right. Don't worry. Jason's a good parent.
But basically what happened was my daughter didn't want to eat.
Yeah.
And if she's not hungry, I mean, I don't force my kids to eat, but they're not going to have something else.
Right.
It's like, I don't like that.
Right.
And let's just say for all intents and purposes, it was chicken, whatever.
Okay.
She's like, I don't like chicken, well, that's what it is for dinner. And guess what? You ate chicken 10 other times, but either way.
Was that the case that she had eaten?
Yeah, we've had something in the past, whatever. So it wasn't like this was a complete surprise. It's not like we're saying, hey, you must eat your Brussels sprouts because we made Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, when we just made them.
Although we'll do that too. We actually do that also. But this is, and we eat fairly healthy. We're healthy eaters.
Sure.
We make food all the time. I mean, every dinner is made. And, but we had a meal and she didn't want to eat it.
Right.
And so we said, okay, that's fine. Guess what? You can have it for breakfast. But she's like, no. And so right then, if she just wasn't hungry, that would be fine.
Yes.
Because she had ate, something very
okay.
But she actually wanted and asked for something else.
Sure.
So that's an indication that she wants something. She's hungry, but she just doesn't want to eat what we have.
Right.
But that's what we have.
Yeah.
So what we did was just said, fine, you can go ahead and have it for breakfast.
Yeah.
And she was like, fine, I'll have it for breakfast. Great. And she doesn't realize. So she went and didn't have dinner.
Okay.
So we get up in the morning, put the breakfast on the table. I think it was I forget, it was even like a sandwich or a tuna melt or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that, something.
It was probably something good.
Something fine.
I mean, you'd be perfectly fine eating it.
She was fine eating it, whatever, but she didn't want to. Now it's like a battle. This is the battle. This is the battle zone.
Okay, yeah.
We are in the war.
We're in the war.
And it's just, it's a matter of principle at this point. It's like, you don't want to lose. I'm having these principle arguments with a 4-year-old, And, that's, like I said, though, my wife and I are on the same page with this. And we said, okay, that's fine. You don't need to eat it. So she didn't eat it for breakfast either.
Okay.
She's like, I don't want it. I said, fine.
Okay.
My wife actually took them out to an amusement park that day.
Okay.
And brought the sandwich or brought the tuna melt, whatever, with her.
Wow.
She didn't eat it for lunch either.
Wow.
The whole day at the park.
She brought it with her. That's the funny part.
She brought it with her. She's like, oh, that's fine. When you get hungry, it's right here.
Then.
And my daughter's so strong-willed. She's like, nope, I'm not eating it. And of course, then we got back to dinner.
Yeah.
She's like, can I have my sandwich? So she obviously got, literally 24 hours for a small child.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And, she wasn't going to die.
That's a good portion of their life.
She wasn't going to die. She wasn't emaciated. She's a well-balanced, well-nutritioned, or, eats well, whatever.
Exactly.
But she just didn't want to eat it.
That's
and so,
funny.
But the principle was, this is what it is.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that kind of choice at this point.
Yeah.
There's certainly other instances where we give choices and we give things for
sick,
dinner.
Obviously you're like, maybe
you have something, but you may even say, hey, this is the 2 options for dinner. Would you like this or you like this?
Sure. Yeah.
But in this instance, like this is what we were having for dinner, and we knew it was something that she would eat. She just was kind of just doing that.
It was a battle of wills at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for a 4-year-old, that's a pretty darn good will.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
She has some audacity right there. Like, I'm not going to eat for 24 hours. You're going to feed me, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that was the battlefield. And so, the whether there's advice there or not, it's just, you've got to be a stickler. So a lot of times I think parents are just, they won't, I don't, and I'm not sure what the end result was, but I think, our children have kind of learning, like they can't really just decide what they want like that.
Right.
You know, I mean, there are times when they get to decide, you know, and you want it, we're not strict like that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's the principle of saying, hey, this is what we made for dinner. This is what it is. And of course, she ate it.
Yeah. There you go. The end result is she got something.
Bread was a little soggy. I don't know. But she ate it. So let's move on though. So next we got product recommendation.
Okay.
Supercharge.
All right.
As we call it.
Yes.
So this supercharge meaning, how can we make our lives a little bit better? How can we supercharge our lives?
Sure.
So my son, and this happens with a lot of children, I think, you had brought this up when we had a private conversation. You're talking about colic, and the idea of the baby crying and stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of times what happens is the babies have indigestion or gas or whatever, and they're in pain. They're not feeling well.
Right.
So one of the things we realized, it was actually my mother who sort of was researching this, and because our son, our first child, was just so unhappy all the time. I mean, screaming, and especially after feedings, we're like, wow, it must be gas. But if you ever see in the hospital, the nurses put the babies up on an angle when they're born. So they're in the little nursery area, and they're like tipped up a little bit.
Now they're head up. Feet down.
Yeah, head up, feet down. And literally just an inch or two, couple of inches.
Okay.
But the idea of the head being above the feet is better for digestion.
Okay.
And so we were having such problems with our son. And so all of a sudden it was my mother who said, hey, have you tried putting the baby at an angle?
Yeah.
And we're like, for what? It's like, for why?
Measure geometry?
Yeah. And so we put like these little wedges, which you can buy a wedge like at any, whether it's a baby store or just any store, it's like a little sleep wedge or whatever.
Okay.
Where, it's at an angle, and even if it's like an inch or two higher. And so we put that at the changing station, because there would always be problems at the changing station.
Yeah.
We put him under where he sleeps.
Yeah.
And in fact, where he sleeps, we ended up buying this like contraption. It was a harness and I kid you not, life changed overnight.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
Just from a wedge?
Just from the wedge and putting him up from so what happened was anytime we were lying him down, we realized that he was having this difficulty.
Okay.
And this is why a lot of parents will be like, oh my gosh, my child sleeps so much better in a car seat or in the sling or in the swing or in the blah, 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 blah.
They're upright.
They're upright.
Yeah, right.
And the idea is like, in a lot of these little swings and things, they're sitting and they're upright. And so we throw them, we give them a huge bottle and then we throw them down on the bed and we go, all right, go to sleep. Like, imagine you just had like your Thanksgiving dinner, and you're lying back. It's like, really? Is that what you want to do right now?
Buckle in your Pampers.
Yeah. Like, really? You just want to fall asleep right now? No, you feel horrible. You feel full. You feel all that stuff. So the idea of putting it at an angle, putting the baby at an angle on a wedge, and so really the recommendation is these wedges, or just putting the baby at an angle. And
so do they have like baby wedges at the stores where you get
they
this
might
stuff?
But we just I think I looked on like Amazon or something and got like a small little wedge. We actually have one that's like 2 inches and another one that's like 4 inches.
How wide would they have to be? Maybe about the width of the baby?
Well, so that's the problem with the baby sleeping is because they roll.
They roll around.
They roll, and you can't have it at too big of an angle. Yeah. So when a baby's really small, if you put it too much of an angle, so the baby ends up like
toppling
at the
over
bottom. You can't do that. So that's why we found this harness, and I wish I knew the name of it. Maybe I could find it for a later segment. But it was literally like you put the baby's legs in on the wedge into this harness, and like he loved it. I mean, he would fall asleep like that.
No kidding.
And it wasn't ridiculously angled, but it was a good enough angle where he was so much more comfortable.
Right.
And so, a lot of the crying stopped, and a lot of you could tell he was in pain.
Yeah.
And as a parent, you're like, I don't know what to do. I mean, this is our first kid.
And
like,
they can't communicate it with you except by crying. Yeah.
They're just crying. I mean, they're trying to tell you something. You're
Right.
like, okay, I know you're full.
Trying to decipher it.
And you're trying to figure out whether it's gas or whatever else.
Right.
You have no idea. So,
yeah.
So going with the wedge.
The wedge.
Putting the baby on an angle. Whatever.
Awesome.
I don't know if it's called, there's sleep wedge.
Yeah.
There's a, something like that.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot from this show.
You are?
I am.
Good.
Yeah, because I would have never thought
Well, you're
a
a dude.
wedge. Yeah, I'm a dude. I don't know this stuff. A wedge would help a kid sleep. I'm going to go and babysit kids. I'm going to be a master. Watch.
Absolutely. You can charge twice as much. So moving on. We've got another mailbag.
Yes.
So somebody actually did email us again.
Yeah.
We're just this is I'm really impressed.
I'm hoping
by
this becomes a trend.
I was thinking 20 episodes before somebody actually contacts us.
Yeah, we did a little soliciting. I mean, let's be honest.
That's true.
But that being said, people are giving us good feedback, so that's good, and that's good right at the beginning.
So what's the question?
So we have Corey, and we're going to protect the innocent and say his name is Corey. Asks a very simple question: how do you know when to have a child?
Oh, jeez.
And that was it. So I imagine it's like, okay,
How do you know when to have a child?
Well, I mean, I guess not the birds and the bees, like
I was hopefully
this thing into this thing, and then this happens. I imagine it's more like at what point in the relationship? Do you
Got
think
it,
you're
got
gonna have
it,
a child?
yeah.
Guess Corey right back in if you think that's not the case, but otherwise.
So how do you know when to have a child? Well, I can only talk from my own experience. So I mean, many people say there's no perfect time.
I'm bored with the wife. Let's just have it.
Yeah. No. So how do you know? When to have a child? Everyone's different. I can probably only talk from my own experience.
Yeah, of course.
But basically, for me, it was I had, was dating my wife at the time. My girlfriend.
Yeah.
And realizing, and I actually wasn't expecting to have children or necessarily had a big desire to have children. I mean, it was like either or. Like I was kind of like, it just wasn't something I really thought about.
Do you think of it like a crapshoot? Like, if I haven't, I haven't.
Yeah. I mean, I just not if it happens, it happens. I definitely was conscious of that.
Well, you knew you knew what went into going.
No, but I mean, once we got together, and then I realized, saying like, wow, this is something different than obviously I'd been in before.
Yeah.
And the idea of even getting married was to have a family. With the that was to me and her of like the idea of like, well, if we're gonna have a family, then we definitely
That was the impetus for marriage.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise we could have just dated.
Sure.
And so
that makes sense.
So yeah, we had plenty of talks of saying, well, do you want, and I think oftentimes, I'm not saying all the times, it often will come maybe from the woman first to saying, yeah, I really would like to have a child, and how do you feel about this or whatever. And in that situation, that's how it was. I mean, my wife was thinking about it more, and as she became more interested, I was like, wow, you know what, that would be kind of cool. I would like to share that with you. And then that became more of the conversation about getting married and that kind of thing. So
right.
I think otherwise, you just live in hey, you're dating, it's a fun lifestyle,
we're going out, and
and certainly people decide to not have kids, and that's great. But in this situation, I was kind of like, yeah, that actually would be really cool.
Yeah.
And then it kind of came around. So as far as like when that was or what point of it, there was not like we were dating a certain amount of time or anything. I think that's a tough question. I think only anybody could know, because there's certainly times where I would recommend you don't have children. But maybe you as a single person, how do you not single meaning you have a girlfriend, but
right. But I mean, I understand.
You're not married,
right?
How do you? I mean, it's just kind of in that same situation. It's like you don't know.
You don't know, and there's no like light that goes out and goes, oh, there you go. There's a light. We gotta have babies now, and I guess when the time's right, you kind of just know. Like right off the bat.
Although some people, it just happens, and then you have a situation.
There's a lot of people where it just happens, and that's the only. I mean, that's the thing. Like we
speeds
were
up the process.
Fortunate to have that choice. Going in, we you protected yourself up until that point. And said, oh, let's not do that anymore.
Right.
So I guess imagine that you just have to make that decision.
Yeah, we got married, and it was like 3 months in, we're like, okay, let's we're ready to start having one, or at least try.
Yeah, and then you had a second one.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like you're doing, that was a good one. Let's do another one.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole other topic. But the idea of like how close do you want them together? And,
sure.
Because we knew we were going to have at least 2 children, and that's all we're going to have.
Yeah.
But
it's like mapping them out.
Yeah. Well, the idea is like we don't want them too far apart, and a lot of people, but I mean, we were lucky in that we were able to have children. I mean, some people have such difficulty that they try for years.
Sure,
and I have even close friends that have had that. I mean, that's really difficult. That's a difficult situation. Actually, that's a good topic for a show.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I imagine it's kind of like an organic process. That's kind of how I feel it should be. It's like the way you did it. It's like it's just we kind of up.
It should, but sometimes, of course, there's medical situations and everything else.
So it's not always that easy. But I imagine
we were very fortunate in to be able to do that.
Right.
What it did make me think about is, wow, I'm glad I protected myself all those years. If it is that not say easy, but if it can happen like that.
Yeah,
you're
with
like,
the
whoa.
wrong person and all that stuff. Like
Yeah,
that could have been just a disaster.
So good thinking, Jason.
Pat yourself on the back.
All right. So moving on, we're going to talk about dad's homework. And these are tips to improve the relationship with your children. So today's homework, though, is really cool. So this involves the whole family.
Okay.
One of the big things that I had growing up, which was extremely valuable, and now we do this as well, is having family dinners. So, this is not realistic with many families because they've got various activities going on or even broken homes or whatever. But, for us and my family, we are able, based on our schedules, to have meals together, and specifically the dinner. And so us sitting down to dinner at a meal is really important. I always valued it as a kid.
Yeah.
I talk about my day and whatever else. But one of the things that, because not everyone just loves to talk about their day.
Right.
Especially as the kids get a little older. They don't want to share anything. I know teenagers, I don't have teenagers yet, but
no.
you ask a teenage girl, how'd it go today?
Yeah,
it's like
this
really
is incredibly awkward.
Yeah.
And I don't like being there.
Really, mom? Yeah, they're not going to want to talk to you.
Right.
So the homework is called Dinner Love Feast.
Okay.
And what this is you go around the table and you say what you love about each other.
Okay.
And so I've got to give this, I learned this in Redirecting Children's Behavior, which is a class that I took, and great tips and advice and everything else.
Yeah.
And this was going around the table and you say what you love about each other. And so, let's say you have 4 people in your family.
Sure.
One person starts and each person says what they love about that one person. And so, my kids, even when they're really little, would say, I love that he plays with me, I love that he shares his toys or, something.
Sure.
And it was funny. It was an ongoing joke because my daughter, she was like, she's just learning to talk, she would say the same thing every time. I love that he plays with me. And it was okay, and she just, but they love playing it.
I really love that.
Yeah. And so, but what it is, it's like, it really fills up your cup. Even your kids telling you why they love you, and even your spouse.
Yeah, right.
And, you some creative stuff, some of it's, the kids might not come up with something that good,
sure.
But it's all wonderful, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe you try to encourage them or ask a question or something.
Yeah.
So you go around the room and you say what you love about each other, and then you also say something that you love about yourself.
Oh, okay.
So you say, I love that I'm, hardworking or, something like that.
Modesty.
Yeah. Whatever it is. But really when it comes around, to each person, it's a great feeling, and it's much better than talking about the day.
Right. Right.
And so you have that conversation, and also it can bring up other conversations. So you say, I love, when you do this, or when this about you. And then you can ask a question about it and say, well,
sure.
When was the last time that happened? Or what was this? Or how did that happen? And
why
that kind of conversation is just much more rich.
Sure.
Than how was your classes today?
Yeah.
Or, how was this? It might take some warming up, especially if you're not the family that kind of talks like that.
Right.
But this is an exercise that it's just really, really works. And
yeah.
Step one is you got to have the dinner together. Or the meal together.
Sure.
So if you're not doing that, you got to do that.
Right.
Set aside a day or time. It's really, really important to do that.
Yeah.
But, just having one of these love feasts.
Would you recommend starting this even when your kids can't talk?
To
get your in habit with your spouse, maybe?
Yeah, you could, but it's
obviously
more fun.
It's more rewarding, when the children can actually
when they're like 3-4 years old is kind of when you're starting it.
Okay.
I think you certainly can do it.
Sure.
Yeah, especially if you have a significant other, you can say, what do we love about each
baby,
other?
I love you, baby, because you didn't throw up today.
But it's really, although it engages the whole family and it feels good with the spouse, it's really about the kids.
Sure. Yeah.
They love to hear why you love them.
Yeah.
And our kids now, we don't do this all the time. Maybe we do it once every 2 weeks or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But the kids will say, let's play what we love about each other.
Yeah.
They love doing it.
That's cute.
So, it's something where you can spend that time and really get some good information out of it. So that's the homework assignment for today.
Okay, yeah. Make sure you're doing that. And if you have any other homework or you want to tell us about it, write to podcast@dudesanddads.com.
Awesome. So next segment is called survival tips.
Okay.
And this is it's really how to survive in your relationship.
Yeah.
And there's certainly I don't know why I'm laughing.
No,
But
I laugh every time that comes up because sometimes it is
It's
a survival.
survival. It's
Yeah,
survival,
you got to
yeah.
survive. There's parts when
why
it's
are you
all
carrying
loving.
a knife?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
It's better than a gun. And no, so sometimes, you just need those tips to just, so you can survive. And it's really about making your relationship better and treating the person with more respect or dignity or, just getting along better.
sure.
So today's survival tip is to tell the person what you like rather than what you don't like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It totally does, and it harkens back to something that I think I heard you say one time when we were working together, and I actually had this happen. This is a previous girlfriend from a while back. The first time I ever had this happen was a girl. She was from Slovakia, and she would say, "I like it when you do this," or "I like when guys do this." She put it in that phrasing. So it just made me want to do it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well, guys love those kind of instruction because they love
I'll
knowing
do
what
that.
to do.
Yeah, I don't want to
It's
be
not
told
just like
what to
be
do.
more romantic. They want
Yeah.
to. I do this.
Do this. I
this,
like
and
when
I'll
you
do
do
it.
this. Okay, here's a
Right.
perfect example of what I should be doing. So then I did that, and it made me want to do it more because prior to that, I had people tell me, I don't like this, or I don't like blah, 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 or I'd rather have this, or whatever these things, kind of negative reinforcement. And I react a lot more to positive reinforcement.
Right.
So, and
Well, kids do the same.
And I must be a kid.
Well, no, I mean, this
But
is
no,
something.
but totally.
Yeah,
It
this is
totally
something
makes
you
sense.
learn too
Yeah.
in parenting. Is like let's say your child is running and you don't want them to run.
Yeah.
You don't say don't run.
Yeah.
You say walk. Or please walk,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Right.
So you're telling them what to do rather than what not to do.
Right.
And it's a much better thing because they take instruction. Because if you say don't walk, all they hear is the walk.
Sure. Or if they,
I'm saying don't run. Sorry. If you say don't run,
yeah.
all they hear is the run.
Right, and
Yeah.
and that's the other thing too is like they might do something silly like skip or do cartwheels or whatever it is. They might just take it too literally. Oh,
Right.
well, you said not to run, but I
Yeah.
can do
So for
this.
your wife or girlfriend, it's really telling them what you like rather than what you don't like. And and this is, I mean, not just romantically or intimately, but this is things in everyday life. I mean, this is something that can happen in all kinds, all parts of your life. It's not just
Yeah.
romantically or intimately or something like
Well,
that,
do
which
you-
it does work there too.
Well, yeah,
But-
and
Because you don't say
friendships or stuff like
but
that.
even like let's say they're I really don't like when you kiss me, blah 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 blah. Instead, you say, you know what, I like when you kiss, blah,
Yeah.
and say that, like or anything to do with that. Say your spouse makes something for you.
Uh-huh.
You say, oh, I don't like when you make this.
Yeah.
Instead
I
say,
like
you know
when
what
you
I
add-
really like?
Yeah.
When you make this dish, or
when you make the opposite of this.
Hey, that's a good one. Yeah.
Well,
You know what I like? Not this.
not this. I like it the anti this. Is there a do you find from your experience that men are a lot more and this is might open up a can of worms, but do you think men are a little bit more adversarial in that type of regard? Like they tell the women what they don't like?
Of course.
Or do you think women do that? Or do both people just do that all the time? It's people in general do that.
Yeah, I
find
mean,
kind of a little bit of the both.
I
but
can't speak for women.
I can.
Yeah, I mean,
I probably shouldn't.
I'm also a woman expert.
Right.
No, I think men definitely do that a lot.
They're a little more challenging about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the alpha male. It's
Sure.
it's the same thing we're
This
talking
is
about,
more
just
typical.
trying to provide advice and knowledge and everything else
Right,
that
right.
a man tries to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think so. I
Did
think
you
it's a little
find
bit-
yourself doing that early on, and maybe like
I still
in your
do it.
early? Do you do it to a certain
Oh,
extent?
absolutely. I
Yeah,
make the
yeah.
mistake all the time. I mean,
Okay,
I say
yeah.
what, instead of, I think I've become much better with my kids
Okay.
of telling them what to do rather than what not to do
Sure,
or something
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
But I think with my wife, I think I still make that mistake instead
Sure.
of,
You catch yourself.
I do catch myself.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's all part of the learning. Kids help
Yeah.
you be a better person to
Yeah,
some
yeah.
degree. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So anyway, so the survival tip, once again, is just, tell your spouse what you like
Yeah.
rather than what you don't like.
Cool.
Or what, if you're telling them what to do,
Yeah.
what not to do,
Yeah.
just always think about it in the positive light.
I like that approach, and
It works with coworkers too, as you said. Like,
Yeah.
I think we were having that conversation about
Yeah.
your coworkers.
It was
It's
about
like,
coworkers. It was about management style because
Yeah.
both of us have been managers. At the
yeah,
time
like
we
don't
talked
do
about
this when you're doing this and this. And that.
Yeah.
Instead,
It's more
tell
like,
the
hey,
employees
I like
what
it.
to do.
Right, and that totally made sense. And I actually equate that back to how I'm treated by my significant others. My current significant other does what you just said. Like
Right.
basically tells me what she likes.
That's great. Yeah.
And that makes more sense. I react to it so much more positively than when saying, don't do that. I'm like, really? Oh, yeah, I can do it again. How about this?
Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we have smooth operator.
Smooth operator.
So really, this is not just, unlike the survival tips, which focus a little bit more on just life.
Yeah.
This is specifically in the romance and the intimacy area. And,
Yeah.
how to woo your woman.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things, we talked about a kiss before.
Sure.
Like in the morning,
The 10
the
second
10-second
kiss.
kiss, which is really good. One of the other things is a love note.
Okay.
And not a love text. Okay, everyone's using text and whatever else.
I text.
This is a handwritten, old school. Don't use a typewriter. This is an old school handwritten note, even
Okay.
if it just says a couple words on it.
Mm-hmm.
But you write a note on a piece of paper, and you put it, if she happens to go to lunch somewhere, maybe if she's working, then you put it in her lunch if she packs a lunch, or you could secretly put it in her car when she's not there and just
Yeah.
put it like on her dash or something. Make sure you put who it's from. Put it inside the car.
I love you, anonymous.
Yeah. No, that could start a problem.
Creepy guy at work.
Yeah. Your neighbor. And
Exactly.
yeah, don't do that. No, make sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a whole bunch of thoughts going, wow, that's bad. But no, the idea is to have a love note and to write it and or just, put it on a nightstand, do something.
Okay.
But writing a handwritten note with just a couple of words
Yeah.
of just saying, hey, I love you.
Yeah.
It was a great day today. I was thinking about you. Whatever. I mean,
Do you think you should like sneak it on her person, so to speak, or like put it in her purse, maybe, or like?
I mean, if you can sneak like that, that's great.
put it in her hair somewhere.
I
and
think one of the things that's difficult with that is that kind of situation though. I mean, like you
Sure.
don't want to make her feel weird. Like, oh, whose is this from? Yeah. So I mean, if it's in the house,
what are you doing in my purse?
it's yeah, exactly. Like, what were you looking at my phone?
Yeah, exactly. Oh. Should
but-
I be?
Yeah, no, I think it's just maybe somewhere in the house
Sure.
or something like that.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Maybe if she gets ready in the morning, you could have a little note there
Sure,
or something. Like sitting on the window.
Yeah.
But it's somewhere where she's going to be somewhat surprised when she's looking.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Someplace where
it's a
she may
really
always
sweet
go.
gesture.
Yeah.
It's something little.
Yeah.
But it definitely scores you points. And
Sure.
of course, as men, it's a game, and we all want to make sure we're scoring points. And so maybe instead of smooth operator, we should be calling this
Gamify your relationship.
winning the game or like scoring points.
Touchdown.
Yeah, that's ultimately what you're going for. So with that, we have another quote for today.
I'm not sure. I don't think we got one, but let's see if we can get one right now.
So we have a quote for today.
Yeah, we do now.
It's by the great Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson, president.
And I quote, I have learned that only two things are necessary to keep one's wife happy. First, let her think she's having her own way. And second, let her have it. That's
Right on,
pretty good.
Lyndon.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
President Johnson.
So as much as we think we've got our way, I think it's important to realize that it's just better. A happy wife is a happy life. There's another one. That's
Yeah.
a good one too.
Sure. Yeah.
Live it, love it, learn it. And with that,
Yeah.
we'll wrap up episode 3. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, they can get a hold of us at podcast@dudesadads.com and go to www.dudesadad.com. The letters TO, not the number 2.
Okay, and so until next time, we'll see you guys later. See you on the next show.
Take care.